So the answer is yes. I'm going to end up doing that. I haven't done it yet. I keep on thinking it's going to get up to about 25.3 to 25.5, and so I haven't been able to get filled on the exit yet. But the answer is yes. And I've also been alerting members to unload and start shorting different things. We shorted some Avalanche over the weekend. We started kind of dipping our toes into the water on other cryptocurrencies out there as well on the short side. So the key is this, is like, listen, could we break through? And you're right, by the way, you were saying, when we're hitting 25,000, are we chipping away at that? And the answer is yes. But it's also right to say that you still have a wall in front of you, which is 25, that we haven't broken yet. So the question is, which one does it turn out to be? Does it turn out to be correct? So per the chart, if we can, you can see the channel that we're in too, right? So not only is it that flat top at around 25,000, but we also have this upsloping kind of channel that we're in, and we're hitting the high end of that, right? So if we come down and if we can take out 22,000 to the downside, you have no major support until you get down to
Would it be crazy to short Bitcoin now that it's finally trending up? To go against the trend, which is most likely the biggest mistake new traders make when starting. According to Gareth Soloway from verifiedinvestingcrypto.com, a 20-plus years master trader who's been hitting Bitcoin price predictions nonstop since 2021, this may be the chance for a swing short and get some quick profits on Bitcoin. But take your time taking this trade and do your research. Don't trust it because you heard it here. First, watch the entire video to know the thought process behind this possible trade that Gareth is preparing to do. Remember that we don't give any financial advice on this channel. Instead, we share curated content with your best interests in mind. As we always do, let's have a look at the S&P and the dollar first before to have a better understanding at the macro level.
Yeah, so with the U.S. markets, the markets are on very shaky ground. We've been seeing those interest rates creep up. The 10 years started to move up. That's pushing markets down. The S&P's been kind of falling. We're setting up for another big down day today, at least at the start. So again, what I would look for is, number one, is psychologically the market's preparing for a bad number. When people prepare for something bad, it usually means that even if the number comes in bad, everyone's already ready for it. Right, so it gives the possibility that it can be better than expected and create a little bit of a rally. Having said that, the mid to long term on this market on the S&P is still unbelievably negative. And again, if you look at the weekly, the monthly charts, we're still in a nasty bear market, and I do think that we do see recession by second half of 2023.
And what's happening with the dollar, and how can it eventually impact crypto?
For me, this is what tells me it's a rotation of capital. So since COVID, during COVID, even since 2009, we saw money flow just rushing into the US. The US was the place to be. I think money is starting to recognize the Fed's no longer a dove, and likely won't be becoming a dove again anytime soon. And what that means is the markets and investors are now looking for other areas to invest in outside of the US. And if you look at Europe, for instance, what they're going through with the natural gas problems and all of the different issues due to their economic woes from Russia, you probably are now looking at maybe opportunities there. So money's flowing there. Money's going to flow to China. Money flows to Brazil. I think the U.S. markets are going to end up lagging, and I ultimately think you'll see that lag continue. Yeah, so check this out. So this is a beautiful chart because it told us that the dollar was going to start to rise. Number one, we fell into major support right here. And also, if we go to your weekly chart, you can see this trend line to here and connected through this little low here. And it gave us exactly the low on the Dixie. Then what's even more beautiful, we got the 3-bar surge with a bull flag, right? So that told us that we were going to have a breakout, and the breakout is in motion. I had the Dixie going up to 105.50 before we hit major resistance. So there's more upside in the dollar. I'm in the camp that the dollar topped when you had basically this high here. So I don't think, honestly, I would be somewhat surprised to see us make a new high on the dollar. I think that the U.S. is going to be in kind of a long-term recession once it hits it. I don't think it's going to be a depression, but I think you're going to see this market and this economy that's stuck in this long-term kind of market where it just continues to be unable to get out of it because the Fed is unable, because of inflation remaining somewhat on the higher side, to print us out. So it's going to be like a shallow recession, but it's going to basically put us at a disadvantage compared to the rest of the world. I think you see a lot of the other global economies starting to gain on the US over the next 5-10 years.
In this interview from the Crypto Banter channel, Gareth got called out for his promise that when Bitcoin reached the 25,000 price level, he would short it. Here's his reply.
So the answer is yes, I'm going to end up doing that. I haven't done it yet. I keep on thinking it's going to get up to about 25.3 to 25.5. And so I haven't been able to get filled on the exit yet. But the answer is yes. And I've also been alerting members to unload and start shorting different things. We shorted some Avalanche over the weekend. We started kind of dipping our toes into the water on other cryptocurrencies out there as well on the short side. So the key is this, is like, listen, could we break through? And you're right, by the way, you were saying, when we're hitting 25,000, are we chipping away at that? And the answer is yes. But it's also right to say that you still have a wall in front of you, which is 25, that we haven't broken yet. So the question is, which one does it turn out to be? Does it turn out to be the breakout where we can get to 30,000? Which is the next major level, or does it stall here and it's unable to break through this epic 25,000 level?
What would change the narrative to a possible bull run and going long?
What you can see here is that when we were in the bull market of 2021, it was the pivot low here, all this choppy kind of mid bull market lows, and then here's where we kind of went sideways and broke down. So if we did break through 25,000 and I do get filled on my short and I exit my long, then that's exactly what I'm going to be looking for. If we get above 30,000, then I actually would have to probably switch my narrative if we stay above 30,000, that the low is finally in on Bitcoin in this cycle. So again, right now, I'm not a believer that the low is in just yet, but if we got above and stayed, and this is the key, it can't just be one day where it pops above. You need to see it establish itself above 30,000. If it does that, then I think you have to start talking about that we are in the midst of a new bullish market. Correct. So per the chart, if we can, you can see the channel that we're in too, right? So not only is it that flat top at around 25,000, but we also have this upsloping kind of channel that we're in, and we're hitting the high end of that, right? So if we come down and if we can take out 22,000 to the downside, you have no major support until you get down to about 18,003 to 400. So that gives you at least about 7,000 on the downside before you hit major support. And that's assuming that we don't break that at some point and start heading back to the lows on the chart.
And if you have been following Gareth for a while or have seen our curated interviews, Gareth said that Bitcoin was not the best trade for 2023, but gold was. Does he still think gold will be the best performing asset this year?
That's compared to the S&P as well as to Bitcoin. So we're not talking about like small caps or whatever like that. It's strictly those between those assets. I think gold is the place to be for two reasons. Number one, I do think it'll outperform percentage wise, but also for safety, right? So at any one point, we have to see what the regulation is in crypto. We don't know what that's going to be. We've heard all these crazy things like Kraken getting sued and having to settle with the SEC and all this stuff. We don't know there. That's risky for me. The stock market, to me, if we're going to see a recession in the second half, that's going to be very, very bearish. Remember, when the Fed tends to stop hiking, historically, it actually is this trigger for a bigger market sell-off. And what that usually tells us is that the economy is getting really bad. That's why we're seeing the sell-off. So I still think gold's the place to be. Let's make sure we check in on a monthly or weekly basis to see if I'm correct.
Did you enjoy this video? Let us know in the comments below, and please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more daily crypto content created to help you protect your crypto and increase your wealth. Thank you so much for watching. See you tomorrow.